Hi, my name is Brenda Titus, and welcome to my video series, My Year Recovering from Retinal Detachment. This is part 2 of episode 33, my journey to accept vision changes after retinal detachment and cataract surgery. I apologize, the last video did cut off very abruptly, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to edit all of that. I'm going to pull out the truth that the vision challenges are pretty much a lot, and I'll do what I can. I actually ask for a lot of grace in this, and it is also an opportunity for me to learn that it really is okay. And so I appreciate your patience, and but I have so much important things to share, and so I wanted to come right back on and complete my story. So as I was saying, I'm really getting used to the bifocal glasses. I've only been wearing them for a few days, and but it is a big challenge. It's a lot of our vision is in our brain, and my brain is just it's been through a lot. It's been through a lot. And so one of the things when I think about back when I first put on my glasses when I was 16 years old, and I said, well, I'm just going to wear glasses now. It makes my life easier to just put them on, keep them on day to night and all of that stuff. Now I realize that much like, there's not just one pair of glasses throughout the day. So I am really learning to think about it as that instead of, it's kind of the Goldilocks thing, right? But some days Goldilocks is going to love Papa Bear's bed, and some days Goldilocks is going to, love being in Mama Bear's bed, and some days that little baby bear's bed is going to feel really comfortable too. And so that's kind of how I'm learning to adjust, is that and accept all of this. Is that the reality is that instead of one pair of glasses being able to do everything that I need to do throughout the day, I, as part of the acceptance and the adjustment, need to understand what kind of glasses and lenses are going to be most appropriate for the different parts of my day. So I wanted to actually just kind of share that. Now, I literally have, okay, so these are the bifocals that I'm learning to adjust to. They kind of take the place of these are heavy, man, of my prescription progressive lenses. Now, I'm learning to adjust to these, and I might have my prescriptions relensed. I don't know. We'll kind of see if I decide. And as I talk to my doctors, okay, is it better to just go like kind of this experiment has really been this idea of, all right, the next time I get glasses or I get, professional glasses, then I want to, have a little bit more better understanding of what I'm buying. I also have, so throughout the day, I have either the bifocals or the progressives. I have my near vision glasses to be able to see my phone, to read, to see things that are up close, especially if I'm not, wearing something like this that add the magnification for near vision. And then I have my monovision clear glasses that just have the tape on it. So how I would use the mono glasses. Now, some people, they may end up that they will still have some distance in their mono glasses. Or like I said, you can actually get glasses either through your eye doctor or, with discussing with them what is appropriate, of course. But so what do I use these for? Well, these are my driving glasses. These are my I drive in them. I exercise. I watch TV. I kind of do general life. I go to the grocery store. Sometimes at the grocery store, if I need to like double check a price or an ingredient or something like that, I carry around a pair of like Half Moon basic reading glasses so I can just real quick flip them on. I might, switch over to have like a little magnifying glass that I can just, quickly, kind of grab out of my purse, double check. So I'm kind of, deciding how I want to do that. But these are kind of my general life, and largely because I need that tape to cover the macular pucker. Let's see, my mono near glasses. I love these. I went through a lot of glasses, and I kept buying inexpensive ones. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, but I do have bought quite a few inexpensive ones. These actually are pretty nice, and I did buy them online on Amazon. But I feel like these are cute, and they, I enjoy them. And so these I use to look at my phone. So it's that near vision. My phone, my tablet, if I'm going to read something, look up close. Largely, I spend a lot of time on my phone, which is why we're going to talk about dry eye and blue light at some point, because that has been a real game changer for me to understand having blue light help protection in my near glasses. So that actually is how I finally came down to these ones. Let's see. I think that's all of them. Oh, that's right. And then these. Okay. So that kind of helps you. So when I use the progressive and the bifocal, so I'm really kind of testing out, how I feel about these. Basically, when I pack up to go to the office every day, I take 4 pairs of glasses with me. The ones that I'm going to drive in, the mono distance, so to speak, my near vision glasses, my progressives as a just in case, and the bifocals, largely because I'm getting used to the bifocals. Only a week ago, I would have taken 3 pairs of glasses every day. Now it's 4, just so that I have my progressives as a backup. Let's see. So, oh yeah. And then, I'm really testing the waters and kind of seeing, okay, well, what happens, as I talk to the doctors, are we going to do, any other adjustments? Can I expect any improvement, and all of that. But the other part that I haven't talked about is, this was a major experiment. And I really put a lot into like, okay, how is this going to work? Now, I was able to do a lot on my own, largely just because I understood like what my vision was, what my challenge was. And, they sell a lot of, the readers, basically, especially because really the readers, it wasn't an issue of safety. It was an issue of comfort and being able to see. And so that really, you do a lot on your own. You can go to the drugstore and they'll say, okay, hold this a certain amount away from you. And when you feel like you can read it well, that's your prescription. In my professional prescription from my ophthalmologist, they put in a plus 2.5, or minus. I always get that confused, but it was 2.5, but that was because it was such a small, portion. And so it needed to work really, really well. And then would, progress or degress, actually with the over the counter, I found that the 2 is really more effective. I originally bought some 2.5s, and I realized that it was too much. And so I was able to go to the 2. But when I first bought reading glasses, and I had a cataract in one eye, and and adjusting to all of this, it was a 3. It was like a pretty, that's, I think that maybe over the counter, like the highest they get into like the 3.5, something like that. And so I wanted to tell you how many pairs of glasses I have bought in all of this experiment. So I've had 2 pairs of prescription glasses, with the progressive. Now, technically, I originally had prisms in these as well, for the strabismus, but those were removed. So technically, I have 2 pairs of progressive glasses, and one goes, has the transition for the dark, and the other just clear. They're kind of less expensive, mean, they're still expensive, but I mean, they're prescription, but I had needed them to have as a backup. So I had 2 pairs of prescription glasses. It's really helpful that I did this, and so I'm going to be really honest and share. I went through my memory of what I bought at my local drugstore, as well as I looked through all of my Amazon history. It's why I do that, is so that I can kind of see, okay, what did I do here? I have, through experimenting or even transitioning from going from the 3.5 to the 3, and as my vision has gotten better to now where I'm really down to a 2, I have bought 32 pairs of over-the-counter, less expensive near vision glasses. Now, when I say less expensive, at my drugstore, I've been able to get a coupon, and so I've been able to buy them for about, like I could get like 2 pairs for $25 to $30. So that's inexpensive, right? So $15 a pair. Those are actually a better quality. I've gotten some online to just kind of test out and see what I think. I've been able to get like 3 packs for $15, something like that. But 32 pairs of glasses, just experimenting and trying to figure that out. And I've gotten varying strengths, like I've said, the 3.5, the 3, and ultimately settling in on that now I can really use the 2 comfortably. The 3 being like the most magnification, and then the 2 being, kind of getting better and better, being able to see and experience better. And also varying styles of glasses. So like I said, between blue light, actually that's my new thing, is adding, the blue light protection. I tried some things that had progressive, but were focused on the, heavy on the readers. I've did the half moon so that I could, have the reader down here, but then be able to peer over to see a face. It's been a journey, and and that has been about a year. So I never bought readers until the day after my cataract surgery, when I said, whoa, this is weird. And that was like the only thing that I knew to help me be able to see. So 32 pairs of over-the-counter reading glasses, the 2 pairs of prescriptions, and the bifocals. Now, I also said that I started using magnifying glasses after the second retinal detachment. And that really was because then I had a cataract in this eye, very, very near vision in this eye. And then this eye had the bubble from the vitrectomy. And so it was basically out of commission for a few months. And so I really needed like as much, so I really had to experiment with magnifiers. Apparently, I had to experiment so much with magnifiers. I bought 22 magnifiers. And again, I was really, I think that back then I haven't bought one in a while. Like, it's like, maybe this will be better. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will, whatever. And ultimately there is a big difference between, like a +3 magnification and a +10. And I was really desperate because, especially to be able to have something at work, to be able to read my client notes. And, I bought little monocles that, would go around my neck. And ones that have light will then have more light, and all of that. So it really has been a journey. And like I said, now I have a couple of magnifiers that are really kind of my preferred go-to, finally narrowing down the glasses. And we start getting to acceptance. And this was a journey. Like I have shared and I have said, it has been a journey. Now, one of the people that I had recently, kind of come into awareness of, and I've shared before, his name is Dr. Sam Berne, Berne. And I'd originally found him because of the tape and how that helps with the macular pucker. But I've really kind of listened to some of his some of his sessions with his clients and kind of understanding kind of some of the symbolic nature of visual challenges and tension, stress. I've learned a lot about, the idea of, using the bigger range on, just one set of vision and multiple different glasses throughout the day. So I've learned, a lot from him, and that has really helped me. One of the things when I said, to be sure that you're talking to your doctor, especially where there's like a safety issue associated with the kinds of glasses that you're wearing. But he also talked about how you experiment and how you try things out with different, prescriptions. And I really liked how he said this. He said, when you're experimenting in non-threatening, non-demanding situations. And that, really spoke to me because I had to really understand that through this process, everything felt threatening. Everything felt demanding. Getting my vision back felt life or death. It was crucial to be able to get back to work, largely because, I had just, left clients hanging multiple times to have these, emergencies and surgeries, and I wasn't able to see as many clients as I used to, and all of that. And I didn't get to, see my niece's senior play. I couldn't see her, and it was just like, it all just felt so threatening and stressful. And, and driving, I don't drive much, but, it just felt like, it was like, it was so, so scary. And I didn't want to be the problem out on the road. And so I really had to learn, that, okay, how can I practice first in non-threatening, non-demanding situations? Why, I especially practiced with those Plano glasses, just watching TV on the weekend, and having dinner with friends or something like that. And so that has really helped, so that now, as I'm, or even like the difference between a new client, where I just have a different level of stress, or trying to maintain, or having a good, a good first impression, versus a client that I'm used to working with, who understands that I'm, dealing with vision issues, and it's going to be okay. I still know what I'm doing, and I'm going to be able to help them. So I kind of learned that. So I really thank you for sticking with me through all of this journey. Like I said, I really hope that, as you've been watching the videos, learning something, this set of videos on the journey of accepting the vision, obviously is longer. I already, it's going to be about an hour total. But I really appreciate you hearing this and sharing it. Letting me share my journey with you. And I really hope that you're getting something out of it. So I wanted to share a story as we finish up. So through my process of learning about the bifocals, I was kind of following a couple people on like YouTube, watching some videos from doctors. So they were, real doctors talking about this kind of lens and that kind of lens. I didn't just go off half-cocked on completely on my intuition and all of that. I really did kind of like, synthesize, look at what they were saying, and it made sense to me as I would move through and practice. And one of the videos, there was, I looked through the comment section. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to see what other people were saying, or how that video had helped. And there was a comment that really struck me. And, when I think about this idea of, I've struggled so much around, like, I've got to be all in, and be there for my clients, and be able to see their face, and see the smallest, little change in their expression, and or their tears, or to be able to read my notes, to be able to remember, to reflect back, and all these things that I pride myself so much on, and being able to drive and be safe, and all of that. And and I understand how much pressure I was putting on myself, and so I had to kind of hear that and see that for what it was. But I also kind of had to come up with this idea, and I talk to my clients about it all the time through their process of perfectionism and the stress and the pressure that they put on themselves. And it was this idea of, well, when do we know that we're good enough? When do we know that we're doing a good enough job? How good is good enough? And and very early on when I was, badgering my poor retinal specialist about driving, and he said, well, you can drive with one eye. You have a good eye. Use it. And I was like, what? And that actually eased off on my stress until I did not have a good eye. And I went through all of that. So, now I have two decent eyes. They're okay for the kind of driving that I do. But that idea of, well, what is really necessary? Like, how good is good enough? Obviously we want to be safe and legal, or, and all of those things. And so I had to kind of deal with some, perfectionism issues. But the story I'm going to tell you, I just really sent it home to me in kind of a way that I went, okay, we're all on a journey right here. So in the comment section, from the guy talking about the from the man talking about the bifocals, there was a piece of feedback from an airplane pilot. Now, I work with a lot of people who are afraid of flying, and for a variety of reasons, which I'm going to be exploring soon on my hypnosis channel. And it has a lot to do with, control issues, all the normal stuff, right? But thinking about my airplane pilot having trouble with their vision, kind of like, it's like my whole brain kind of went, first, that's terrifying. But it also thought, oh, well, but he was able to, through a variety of processes with working with his doctor and shifting around where the bifocal was, and that was what he was talking about, was adjusting to these bifocals, that he was able to get what he needed to be able to fly a plane. And I thought, well, if he can fly a plane, I can, drive my car on little back roads 2 miles to my office, and it's going to be okay. Or even, or be able to, work with my clients and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's going to be okay. And, if I really get in a bind, there's Uber. That's how I got to and from work last winter, in the dark. And, there's friends and family or whatever, but it's going to be okay. And so I hope that you enjoyed that story. I found it kind of humorous, and I did a video on my hypnosis channel, side of the channel, on how good is good enough, because it's something that we just put so much pressure on ourselves all the time, and it's like, I don't know what's good enough, and I had to accept that, so that every day when I should go to the office with my handful of glasses, and I'm just doing my best, and I tell my clients, hey, I'm dealing with some vision challenges. I might sometimes have to change glasses midstream. They don't care. I mean, half the time their eyes are closed anyway. They don't even notice. And so, we're all doing the best that we can. So if you are having vision challenges after retinal detachment, or after cataract surgery, or if you know somebody who is going through that, I hope that this was helpful. Like I said, it was a much more in-depth, a longer process that I really wanted to dive into today, but I really wanted to share my entire journey of that. And like I said, it's been, like 18, 19 months that I've been on, longer than that probably, on that journey of both dealing with the vision changes, and then now really learning to accept those changes. So I hope that you are able to learn and grow and accept those changes for yourself, and be able to live a happy and fulfilling life. And with that, I wish you a wonderful day.